6 seconds.
Okay, you're going to go with the script? You're first up.
Yep, hang on. Alrighty, here we go. Hopefully, everything's working. We'll find out the hard way. Hello, and welcome to the BA Zone. Do you want to learn how to use surveys as a way to collect information? Do you keep hitting your head against the wall trying to figure it all out? Well then, today we're going to talk about that very thing. This is something we get a lot of questions about, and we want to help lay it all out for you. Are you excited to learn about surveys? If so, say yes in the comments or throw us some hearts. Just so you know, we're trying Facebook and Periscope again today, so again, it may be a little wonky, but hey, it makes it interesting. All right. Oh, and by the way, you should stick around till the end because that's when we're going to tell you how to get our free survey guidelines ebook. And yes, I did say free.
So today, we're going to kick things off by talking about using surveys as part of your elicitation strategy. But first, for the new people joining us, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Marianne Morrison.
And I am Kathleen Sinnott. And together we are the founders of the BA Zone. We created the BA Zone to help everyone who creates and maintains business and technical requirements.
And remember, everybody, we're doing this for you, so be sure to tell us what you'd like to see in upcoming episodes of the show, and whatever your business analyst questions are, we're here to help you to get to where you need to be. Okay, I think we're ready. So we have
actually,
like 20.
You know what? That was a test drive because this was only the pre-show. That's good. We got our rhythm going.
Did I hear you? You know what? I didn't cough once, which is a great thing because you know I wasn't here last week because I had a pretty bad cold. So tonight, if I don't cough up my own toe, we're in good shape.
Well, that would be something different for everybody to say. But not everybody has seen somebody cough up their own toe.
I know. It could have been other parts of my anatomy, but I'm not. So I'm saying my toe.
Okay, we might be going down a bad path here. Do you maybe want to do a trivia question while we get things finalized here?
Sure. We do have a little trivia question. Let's see. Does anyone know how many points a compass has? That's a trivia question.
That's a good one. I like that one. And I'm not just saying that because I'm the one who picked it.
Yeah,
I didn't know the answer. I saw it was what I was like, okay, I read the question, didn't know the answer. I figured that would be a good one.
Stay tuned till the end, and we'll give you that answer if we remember we asked the question in the first place. Because that's the kind of day it's been.
It has definitely been that kind of day. And I'm trying to get the Facebook comments up. Click for more. What are we doing here? Okay. Oh, that's nice. It shows us as being up next and live now, all at the same time. That's a special talent. All right.
Yeah,
Just test
here,
this
there, we're everywhere.
I have got the world's worst echo in my head. It's really bizarre.
When they start having a separate conversation, then you need to work. Till then.
Alrighty. So it looks like comments are working, and it looks like we're live on Periscope and Facebook. So if you folks are out there and you want to throw us a couple of hearts or a thumbs up or something to let us know you're there, that would be awesome. Also, feel free to throw in the comments. You know, don't be shy. We always bring a topic, but you can feel free to ask other questions. Or if you have some input on the topic, feel free to throw in. Alrighty, so we've got 1 minute.
And for those of you who caught the test of the preview, you'll be able to hear it again.
Hey, it worked.
Okay.
We'll take that for a win.
That's right.
Oh, that makes a bad noise. Okay, so
We're just waiting to get started here on the BA Zone Live. Just,
Sorry, I'm making microphone noises. Bad microphone noises.
and I have 9 o'clock.
Okay, so I guess we will dive in for real this time. Once more with feeling for the back of the house. Okay, hello and welcome to the BA Zone Live. Do you want to learn how to use surveys as a way to collect information? Do you keep hitting your head against the wall trying to figure it all out, much like we're doing with the live stream? Well then, we've got great news. Today we're going to talk about that very thing, that thing being surveys, not live streaming. Surveys are something we get a lot of questions about and are one of our favorite ways of collecting information. So we thought we would take some time today and lay it all out for you. Are you excited to learn more about surveys? If so, say yes in the comments or throw us some hearts, thumbs up. You know, we're not picky. And you should stick around till the end because that's when we're going to tell you how to get our free survey guidelines ebook. And yes, I did say free.
So today we're going to kick things off by talking about using surveys as part of your elicitation strategy in your little toolkit. But first, for the new people joining us, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Marianne Morrison.
And my name is Kathleen Sinnott, still. And together we are the founders of the BA Zone. We created the BA Zone to help everyone who creates and maintains business and technical requirements.
Right. So remember, we're doing this for you. So be sure to tell us what you'd like to see in upcoming episodes, and we'll try to make that happen. Whatever your business analyst questions are, we can help you get to where you need to be. So, okay, I think we're ready. Let's get started using surveys as part of your elicitation strategy.
Okay, just give me 1 second here. I'm getting some weird feedback. I don't know if that's coming through or not. Not sure where it might be coming from. 1 sec. Okay, well, that should be okay. I don't know where it's coming from. Maybe it's just the voices in my head.
It should be.
Okay,
so let's get started with the presentation today.
All right, the presentation. That's where we wanted to start.
I'm just here to move things.
That's it. Somebody's got to keep me in line.
Here we go. Using surveys as part of your elicitation strategy, and it is a great strategy. First off, let's remove my face from the upper left-hand corner. Let's just go over some definitions. Elicitation, basically, is the process of collecting information from users, customers, and stakeholders. And a survey is basically asking many people a question or a series of questions in order to get that information as part of your elicitation. Find out what they're thinking about, what they might have as far as features or any of that type of information. And once Kathleen gets the next slide up, we're good.
Yeah, it's just going to take 1 sec. There it goes.
Yeah, and Kathleen, again, live, technical issue. If you could just, I'm seeing myself up in the top left-hand corner, which makes it difficult to see myself. So we'll see if we can get that.
Upper right-hand corner. Well, okay. Me.
Top part.
Okay.
Completely, I can see myself.
All right, you should be all set.
No, but run the next slide and we'll see how much of that I can see.
You should see the overview right now.
Okay, sort of part of it's fine. Okay, here we go. So I'll give you a little overview about surveys. I mean, they, in addition to allowing you to collect the information, they do so in a relatively short period of time from any large number of people, depending on the type of survey that you select. They're relatively inexpensive, again, depending on the type you select. And it can be a really effective way to collect quantitative and qualitative information. However, the writing of those questions really requires some skill and some practice and care to avoid ambiguity and bias that could compromise, the use or utility of the results of the survey. So it's sort of an acquired skill, but it's not a difficult skill to acquire. How can a survey help your process? The cost. Surveys, again, are relatively inexpensive. Online surveys and mobile surveys in particular, such as, not to, pick one product over another, but such as SurveyMonkey, have a very small cost per respondent. They can be extensive. No other research method can provide as much data to the largest population, which ensures that you're getting an accurate sample. I mean, sometimes people pick too many, sometimes people don't pick enough people, but you really want to get a good size sampling to get a good cross-targeted group of folks so that you can draw some conclusions and make some really good decisions around the data that you're getting. Surveys are flexible. They can be administered to reach remote areas, and I'm talking really remote areas, places that you would not even normally get survey information. And you can get, as well as information from local participants. Surveys are dependable, as long as you write them very well, they're dependable. They're anonymous. They allow someone to respond very candidly, and you can get the most accurate data that way. There's always going to be some outliers, but most of the time it's very accurate because of the privacy. And you really need that in order to get the information that you need for whatever project that you're working on, and they're completely confidential. Why are surveys helpful as part of your elicitation techniques? They can help identify the user and customer perceptions and expectations. And I can tell you firsthand, working as both a manager and a business analyst, that oftentimes the difference between what a supervisor or a manager thinks that a user needs and what the user actually does need can be a wide gulf between the two. So they can help you do that. The same with customers, whether those customers might be public or clients of yours. You can gauge the level of customer satisfaction, and that could be internal customers, external customers, satisfaction with a product, an application, a process, a service. So it's a pretty powerful tool to get that information from those folks. One of the biggest things is identifying pain points. If you have an application where there's a particular role or a group of people that are using them and how they interact with that application, what are their pain points in a service or a process? What is killing them most of the time during the day? And I can tell you again that oftentimes there's a very big misconception. It might be a very small thing that a user needs, and they may be redesigning an entire system and they don't need that. So again, identifying pain points is particularly helpful in surveys. Again, people who use an application all the time may have great ideas how to enhance that product, how to provide new features for it, and you really should listen to them, if not to spark an idea of how to improve that particular application, process, or service. It also helps you prioritize changes or enhancements. I mean, oftentimes we see queues that are horrifically long, 400, 500 backlog of all these things that people want in an application and just can't get to it. But if you use a survey, you can prioritize what is the most important to those users, as well as the business and management. So it's terrific tool for that.
Okay.
There are different types of surveys that you can select from. Online and mobile surveys are obviously, for us, the easiest ones to use because they are quick, they're efficient, and you can reach the masses very quickly. Face-to-face interviews, again, that's going to have a little bit more of a cost implication. because you're going to have to hire people to do those interviews. You're going to have to train the people to do those interviews. And then it's basically trying to get, people either in a room or, coming to a facility to do it. And it is one of the more difficult ones to manage and costly. Telephone surveys, again, you can reach a lot of people if they pick up the phone. And mail surveys as well, sending out the mail surveys, and response rate is not as great with the mail surveys as well. But those are right now the types that you might have.
All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about popular types of survey questions. The first one that a lot of people tend to default to are the open-ended questions, where basically you ask a question and you just leave them a text box where the respondents can enter and answer their questions in their own words. It feels like it's a good way to go, but in general you want to limit the use of those because sometimes you're not going to get a complete answer, or people will skip those because they don't feel like writing what feels to them like a lot of text, even if it's only a few words. Next up are closed-ended questions. This is where you would provide a predefined set of the most probable answers for the respondent to select from. Next would be multiple choice questions. This is where you give them a set of answers that they can select one or multiple answers from. Then we have the semi-closed-ended questions. This is where you're using this basic structure of the closed-ended question, but mixing in the flexibility of the open-ended question. So this way you can also give them a text box if they do want to give you additional information, but they can select from predefined answers if that's their preference. So for example, you could give them a multiple choice question where one of the responses is other, and if they select other, that would give them a text box where they could enter in whatever additional information they wanted to provide. Then next we have the demographic questions. That's where you're going to gather basic information about the respondent, age, income, their role, that type of thing. Generally, you're going to get a better response rate on these types of questions if you make them optional. People don't like being forced to provide the information, but they're willing to provide it if it's an option, and if you let them know how you're going to use it and that you're going to keep it de-identified and that kind of thing. You do have to take people's worries about security very seriously when you're asking this kind of information. Okay, sorry, I just have to check. Is this mine or yours? I've forgotten already. Where are we? 6. No, I'm sorry, 1 sec. I just lost track of where I am. Okay, 9. Okay, so when you're crafting your survey questions, you want to keep a few important ideas in mind. Consider including more than one version of important questions to verify the accuracy of the responses. So basically what we're talking about here is if you're doing a longer survey, I mean obviously if you're doing like a 3 or 5 question survey, this doesn't work. But if you're doing a 10 to 15 question survey and you've got 1 or 2 where you really need clear quantifiable answers, you might want to try asking it 2 different ways just to make sure you get the same responses. Sometimes the phrasing of the question will give you a different answer, and that's a warning sign on a couple of different levels. One is it could be that there's a problem with that question, which is why you want to test your survey before you send it out. The other could be that maybe there's multiple issues around that question and you need to do a little more digging on it. The next one is you want to make sure that your questions are concise and easy to understand. Make sure you're not using any jargon or ambiguous words. You want to make sure it's not phrased in a way that it feels like maybe there's a couple of different ways to answer it. You want to be very straightforward and to the point with your questions. This is a big one. Do not ask leading questions. This is harder than it sounds because you are human and you're writing this question and you have some predefined assumptions in your head about what you think the answers are going to be. Just make sure that none of that filters into the question. So, for example, this is an extreme example, but, you don't want to say something like, we think our tool is excellent. How would you rate our tool, It's kind of like being on a date and saying, well, enough about me. What do you think about me? You don't want to do that. You want to move from general questions down to specific questions as they go deeper into the survey. And you want to make sure that your questions are grouped in a logical manner. You don't want to make them feel like they're bouncing around. So you want to get through a topic or an area of content before you move on to the next one. Okay, Mary, I think that's you, right? Did I lose you? Let's try this.
Why are you creating the survey?
You may want to back up just a little. I think the microphone dropped.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It went silent for a minute there. I'm not sure why.
Okay. Let's start from the top. Let's talk about the 10 steps to survey success. Getting the results you need requires a little planning. So step 1, outline the purpose of the survey. Why are you creating a survey, and what is it you want to obtain and analyze? So in other words, what is your goal for this particular survey? Step 2, identify who should participate. These are the groups of people that you intend to survey. They could be your customers, your key stakeholders, users of an application, a particular age group, special needs, particular demographic. This would be your target group, and you want to make sure, as I said before, that you have enough people in that target group to provide a valid cross-representation of views and opinions. Step number 3 is select the delivery and collection method. So based on your budget and your time frame, which method will achieve your overall goals, given the size and type of your target population and the resources available to conduct the survey and do the analysis. Step 4, design the survey. Now this is the fun part. So here's where you get to decide what questions to ask, what type of data you want to collect and the format of the responses, and how the questions should flow, whether you should use images or not, and the number of questions, etc. Step 5, create a little hype. And usually we do this by generating a little coming survey. And by doing that several times before the actual survey, you can improve your chances and a faster turnaround time from your respondents. And this works really well if the purpose of the application is to improve it or revise, an existing application or process, because people really want to see that they're being heard. So it works especially well when you start creating that hype. Step 6, test the survey. I mean, this is sort of a no-brainer, but you really should, like anything, conduct a test run, with a small select group and elicit some feedback. This could even be the managers that you would be sending out if you're in a particular company and you're talking about an application or a process. You could send it out to the managers themselves so that they would have an idea of what this would look like. Maybe a couple people from each group. And they're looking at things like ease of use, understandability, clear instructions, how long it's taking them, are the responses clear, is there branching logic that flows correctly, those type of things. Step 7, administer the survey. Send it out, give a little happy explanation in the email, get that survey going. Step 8 is send reminders. You want to monitor your response rate. So if you're sending out a survey to 50 people, you want to monitor how many responses you're getting on a daily basis or every other day, and send out friendly reminders regarding the importance of completing that particular survey. Something like, your feedback really matters. And you also want to send out a reminder on the last day of the survey. And when the survey ends, make sure you send out a big thank you and something to the effect that you can't wait to share the results and recommendations with them type of note. Step 9, process, store, and analyze the results. And this is sort of where you've got to put your nose to the grindstone. You put a lot of effort, into getting this information, and now you want to actually look through all these results and make sure they're stored properly, the raw data, that you're going to be analyzing and taking a look at. Step 10, the final step, is the presentation of the results and recommendations. So this is a really, this is the big kahuna here. This is where you want to make sure that you're presenting this data in a readable way. You want to present it with graphs as well as, some of the responses, categories of responses, percentage of responses. This is where, a lot of that, the open-ended questions where people are just typing in their particular text, you're going to have to probably group them into some type of logical areas so that you can sort of make that data quantitative and easy to read. And the most important part of all is your recommendations. Now you can take some of the recommendations from the respondents, but you really want to give a recommendation, even if that recommendation is only to form a user group that is going to review this particular issue. Even if that is your only recommendation, you really want to present a recommendation. If you have one or two, you can present those as well. And that takes us through the 10 steps to success.
Okay, so if you're interested in learning more about this, you can go to www.thebazone.com/survey ebook, all is one word. And that's where you can give us your email address, and we will, after you verify it, then we will be able to send you the free ebook that we've mentioned. If you're looking just in general for more information about surveys, you can go to the BA Zone /BA blog and look for the tag for surveys, and that way it'll filter it out and give you just the information on surveys that we've posted. 1 second here.
And if you like this information, be sure, give us a little thumbs up, as Kathleen said. And again, remember, we're doing this for you. So if there's anything that you're interested in for the upcoming episodes, please drop us a line. We'd love to give you a hand. And I think that about wraps up our episode for today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming by. You can leave us questions or feedback in the comments on Facebook, or you can go to our website, again, thebazone.com, and there's a comments form. So you can send us your comments, your suggestions, your questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. If you need a fast answer, make sure you give us your email address. Otherwise, just put them in there, and we'll include them in future shows.
Okay, that wraps up our show for today.
Well, not quite.
Or,
if you prefer, you can take our 3-question survey, and we will put the link in the post so that it's easier to find.
Okay, now. Survey says. So as always, again, your zone of business analysis, and thanks for coming by, and see you next time on the BA Zone Live.